I have a chapter in this book called Your Partner is Your Guru.
Yeah.
And this was inspired by you.
Great.
And it was.
Amazing.
Well, really, it was inspired from our tradition and the idea that relationships are more about education and enlightenment than they are about entertainment.
Yeah.
And I think that you get into relationships because of pleasure, but actually relationships that last are ones in which you grow and which you find a purpose.
Yeah.
And I think that sounds really unsexy and uncool because people think like, oh, well, my partner should just be someone I have fun with all the time. And we have a lot of fun together. We've had a lot of fun over the last 10 years, for sure, without a doubt. Like whether it was when we've traveled together, when we've started Joyo together, when we've moved, whether we, we're in this tiny shoebox apartment or whatever it was. Like, we've had a great time. But the greatest great time is when you're learning and growing together because you actually learn how to improve your relationship, and that's what makes your relationship better. So when I talk about your partner as your guru, what I love is that if you look at Eastern traditions, gurus are not the people who tell you what to do or preach to you or act smarter than you. The guru, like the monk gurus, they would come and sit at the back of the class and listen to a young monk give a talk. Like that's what gurus did. Or when you bow down to an elder guru, the guru would bow down to you on the floor, even if they were twice your age. Like the guru was not a figure that made you feel inferior.
It's not authoritative
it's not
in that way.
But the guru was a figure that constantly made you feel like they believed in you and that you had potential and that you had value to offer. And so when I wrote this chapter called Your Partner is Your Guru, I break down the qualities of a student and I break down the qualities of a guru. And all of the qualities of a guru is generally your partner who believes in you. And what I found in relationships is that it's so easy for you to be the most critical person of your partner.
Yeah.
It's so easy for you to say that, oh yeah, you're just the worst and you're so like lazy and you're just like, you're not ambitious enough and you're not organized enough. Like it's so easy. And I found so many couples were in that space. Even if you don't say it, we feel that about our partners because people say it to other people. The amount of people that come up to me and say, my partner's not ambitious enough. He doesn't work hard enough. Like, oh, she doesn't understand enough. She's too clingy. Like we have these negative views. And actually we should be the ones who see the potential in our partner. Of course, beyond any, and I make this very clear in the book, beyond any abusive or toxic relationships, we should look at the potential in our partner. We should be the ones who are like making them feel like they can grow and become something. Of course, not ridiculous and stupid ways, but in a healthy way.
Yeah.
That's why I think that when I wrote this chapter, one of the ways in which you've been my guru is that, and I've said this multiple times to other people, I don't think I've said it to you fully, but I think that as I became more materially successful, I wanted you to love me more for my material success.
Right.
And you didn't. Like you just didn't budge. So even if I'd like win an award or I'd be number one or whatever I did, I never felt like you loved me more. And for a long time in our relationship, I just felt like you didn't love me, like because of that, because you didn't love me more. And then when I would talk to you or I would hear about what you said to someone else, and even when I listen to you today, it's like I'm constantly reminded that you love me for who I am, not what I achieve. And that has been the greatest guru thing that you've done, because I think I would have started to love myself for what I've achieved and not who I am if you loved me for what I achieved and not who I am. And so that is such a subtle, intricate point, but that's the kind of stuff that your partner can do for you because your partner actually sees you. And then in a more tangible way, you're the person, like if I'm practicing a talk to you or I'm practicing something to you or I read you a part of the book when I'm first writing it, you'll call me out and be like, that's average, or I don't like that, or that's
I'm
crap,
so great
or
at
that's
that.
crap. And it's like, your partner is only doing that. And you say this to me all the time when my ego gets in the way, and you'll be like, I'm only doing that because I want it to be amazing because I care about you.
Yeah.
The person who doesn't care about you is just gonna be like, oh, that's amazing, like that's awesome, just keep doing it. Whereas you're like, I don't want you to look stupid on stage tomorrow, I want you to think about it. And so I find that also is how your partner's your guru, because they're the only one who can coach you through your ego. Because if anyone else said that, I probably wouldn't take it. But because you're saying it, it's like, I know she wants only what's for my benefit. And so I will listen more as well.
Yeah, thanks. But I also think with what you were saying about, the awards and stuff, I think there's, what I've learned from those situations is that there's still an element to like, even though, I always think about people who achieve a lot in their life, and and not saying, oh my God, it's so hard to achieve a lot in life, but to just is. No, what I mean is it's such a hard life to achieve a lot. What I'm trying to say is that it's difficult sometimes for people who, and by the way, this doesn't mean achieves a lot in the limelight or achieves a lot in their day-to-day life, but people can get so used to people achieving that every success doesn't end up feeling like a success to the other people, but the not grout, what's the word, like the graft that's gone into it, only the person who's done it knows. And even as someone who's watched you through it, or watched you actually do what you need to do to get those achievements, it's still not the same as being that person. And so to even be a person watching and observing, still to have that respect and that value for it, and to share that, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Like, and I think I genuinely think I just got so used to you achieving, and you've always been a person who's achieving but the work has just always been there. But I think it's even just appreciating the work, even if you don't appreciate what's come from it. Even if I'm not like, oh my gosh, this award, because sometimes I'm like, oh wow, another streaming. Oh wow, another this. Like, okay, cool. Because I know that there's always more coming, because I know you are just such an achiever, and like you put in the work, so naturally there's going to be achievement. But I think there is so much in, even though you're not looking for it, what I've learned from it is there is so much to sharing that, wow, I see the work that you're doing, like that's amazing. And I never felt like you needed that validation, because I was like, oh, you just keep going and you know that you're doing great. Like you must know it because you are. But I think it's really important for loved ones, partner, family, to keep sharing people's success. And when you end up celebrating other people's success, I've realized that in my life, it makes you so much more of a better person, because you're really thinking about how amazing it is for someone to have done that. And not even just the success, the legwork that's happened before that. And it's so important to do that. It's not about boosting someone's ego. It's not about making someone feel like, oh, what they've got it's so valuable, but making someone know that we see the work that you're doing, and we see the hard work that's going into it. And I see, it's a way of saying I see you in a subtle way. And I think it's really underrated, because I think people are used to being like, oh wow, that's amazing, you got this, but they don't think about everything else before. So now when I think about celebrating someone's success or celebrating your success, it's like me actually saying to you, wow, I see everything that's happened for you to get there. And I've realized how important that is. And I don't normally, and I've not been someone to do that for you. So now I'm like, oh, I really do want to do that for you and for other people around me. And I think you're right, the guru part is true. Like whatever I've noticed I haven't been doing has been instrumental for this, but also in every relationship that I have, because it's showing me that the little thing, you notice so much about yourself. Obviously, they always say you notice the most about yourself in relationships, right? Like who you actually are. And I feel like in a lot of other relationships, I haven't seen that. With my mum, she's always just like, whatever you end up doing, your mums love you like all the time. It's like unlimited amount of love. But I think in relationships, you're constantly reflected back to you. They don't, in your relationships, you don't allow, I feel like I see it on a constant basis of what I'm not doing, especially if your partner is someone who is so loving that the reflection is, you can't help but see the things about you need to change, because that person is constantly just pouring love into you. And so I think it's just, anyway, I just think it's such an important part. But that guru part that you were saying, I completely agree, because I feel like I've had that, and that's been pouring into other areas of my life too. And so, yeah, that's it. Well, why are you laughing?
You always do that at the end of when you're talking about something.
I'm like,
you're really passionate, and you go, yeah. So that's it.
That's
and
it.
I love it.
Yeah, because I feel like I'll just end up repeating it in different ways.
It's adorable.
Learning to be succinct.